Now we're going to work on multi-digit times two-digit multiplication, which means we could have a number in tens times a number in the tens, or maybe a number in the hundreds times a number in the hundreds. Multi-digit, meaning more than 2, times two-digit. One example of a multiplication problem is 621 times 12. So this is multi-digit because it takes up 3 digits, place values, right? It's 3-digit taking up 3 place values, place value columns, and we're multiplying it by a 2-digit, which is something in the tens column and ones column. So let's take what we have and break it down into two things that we know we can do. All right, so we know that 12 is the same as 10 plus 2. So that means we can do two different multiplication problems. We can do 621 times 2, which we learned how to do in the last video, and we can also do 621 times 10, which we know how to do because this is a 0, and we know to multiply those problems. So then all we have to do is find this, and add them together. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll start with the ones column, right? 2 times 1 is 2. We'll move on to the tens column. 20 times 2 is 40. Move on to the hundreds column. We have 600 times 2 is 1,200. And then we'll add all of those columns together, place value columns, to get 1,242. So that is when we look at just this side of the 12. Now we need to move on to the 621 times 10. We need to move on this side of the 12. So we know that if we multiply 621 times 1 and then add the 0, that's how we can multiply this type of numbers, this kind of type of problem. So we have 621 times 1 is 621 plus the 0, we get 6,210. So now we have the 621 times 2 and 621 times 10. We can just add them together and we'll get the answer to our multiplication problem. So we know that 621 times 12 is 7,452. Another way we can do this is kind of shortening it and smashing them all together. If we have this multi-digit problem, we see that this multi-digit times two-digit, before we split up the two-digit into the tens and the ones and then add them all together, we can skip that part by just going with the original layout as we learned in the last video. We just need to go a little bit longer to remember to include all of the second digit. So we will start with the ones place in the ones column, right? So we have 2 times 4 equals 8. Move to the tens column. We have 60 times 4 equals 240. Move on to the hundreds column, and we get 400 times 4, and we 1,600. Move on to the thousands column. 3,000 times 4 is 12 with 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, right? Now we're going to switch colors because we're done with the ones column here. So we're going to switch to blue to work on the tens column. Remember, the tens column is worth a different amount. So we're going to do, instead of doing a 3, it's going to be 30 because the value of this 3 is 30. Again, we're going to start with the ones column. So we have 2 times 30 is 60. Move on to the tens column. We have 60 times 30 equals 18 with 2 zeros. There's 2 zeros there. Don't forget to add both zeros. Move on to the hundreds column. And we have 400 times 30. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 3 zeros. That's the hundreds column. And finally, for the thousands column, we have 3,000 times 30. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. All right, so we have all of the multiplication with the ones, this 4. We have the multiplication with the tens. So now all we have to do is add them together. And we have 8 plus all those zeros. We have a 4 plus a 6 is 10, carry the 1. We have 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 6 is 9, plus 8 is 17, carry the 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 9 plus 1 is 11. So we can do it either way, either all in one go, or we can add the two, separate the 2-digit number into the tens and the ones and add them together.